So now that you guys are done with the observation stations, I want you guys to move on to worksheet number 1 after watching this video on how to create what is called a system schema. So you guys should have been watching all these different interactions: tumble buggy, wind up toys, air puck, ball drop, cars on track. You didn't watch ice melting or glow sticks, Cheetos burning, tuning fork, and then there was not an Arizuka. You guys should have watched the majority of those interactions, right? And now what we want to do is, before we talk about how energy is being transformed or transferred into these different energy places, energy counts, before we do that, we need to talk about the system that is allowing energy to transfer, right? Like we all know in these interactions that some energy was moving in some way. But first we need to talk about how to define the system, and then that will help us to define what types of energy there are present. So I'm going to start out with this watching ice melt one. Watching ice melt is a very, very simple example of energy transforming. But we're going to start out by just defining the system. So when you're defining a system, you have to start out by just listing out the objects that you think are important. So in this case, I'm going to say ice, the sun, up, the earth. I'll explain that one in a second. And then let's say the desk it is sitting on. All right. So the first thing, you just list out the objects that you think are the most important. Now here's a hint. Earth will be in all of them, because although it doesn't seem like it, the earth is pulling all of the objects towards it with a force that a lot of you know about. So I'm going to include earth, even though it doesn't seem super important. I'm going to include that. Okay. So I just inserted a text box there. I am on Cami, so this is how I expect you guys to be doing this PDF. Just make sure that when you are done, you click save, and make sure it says all changes are saved before you click submit. Click save now if they are not all saved. Now I will show you guys an example of that in a little bit. But anyway, so I inserted my text box, then I'm going to go down to shapes. I'm going to insert ellipses for each of these, representing that they are objects. So I would usually just draw circles on the board, but in this case we are digital, so I'm going to just improvise. Okay, so there's all my ellipses, beautiful ellipses. Now that you do that, you have the objects, is you are going to draw connections between them. Okay, so in this case I said the earth and the ice were interacting. The ice and the sun, because the sun heats the ice up, and then the ice is resting on the desk. So you just draw arrows towards it, right? Kind of like a web. And then what you are going to do to finish it up, because yes, you've made all the connections to the ice, but how are the earth and the sun connected, right? They are being pulled towards each other as well. And the earth and the desk is on the earth, and the desk and the sun, I'm going to say that they don't interact. You could make the argument that they do interact, but I'm going to say that they don't in this case. Okay. Ooh, excuse me. So, again, list out the objects that are important, draw circles around them, and then all you do is draw the connections between them. That's all you do in a system schema. So this should not be terribly difficult. But again, the reason to do this is because we want to start to understand how energy is transforming in these different examples. And this is just a helpful first step. So we are going to go through these for the next class period. So I need you to have this done for that next class period, because yes, this is a 0-point assignment, but it will be really helpful for the next assignment. I promise you guys that. So I'm going to go through 2 more examples that I think are going to be helpful in order to show you guys how making a system schema really works. We're going to start out with a marker. A marker just sitting on my desk, right? So you can't really see it. There you go. A marker sitting on my desk, right? This marker on the desk, I'm going to draw the system schema in about the same spot. It's a really, really simple system schema. All we have is we have the marker, we have the desk, and then again, the marker is being pulled towards the earth, so I'm going to add earth. So I added my text box, and I come down here to shapes, insert ellipse. Just insert my ellipses for each of these, just to make it a little bit cleaner. And then finally, click insert line. and show how they are connected. The desk and the marker, obviously the marker is resting on the desk, the marker and the earth is pulling it towards it, desk stops it though, and then the desk is also on the earth, right? So my system here is really simple. All three of those objects are just connected, right? So that would be the marker on the earth, or sorry, on the desk, which is on the earth. The final one I'm going to do is a little bit more complicated than that, a little bit more realistic to what you guys are going to be doing. A tennis ball, okay? I'm going to say that it is a tennis ball that I drop, okay? So in this case, my system, obviously you start out with the easy object, the tennis ball, right? Is tennis ball 2 words? I don't know. We're leaving as one. My desk, the earth, and in this case you guys probably can understand a little bit more of why I'm adding earth in this case. And then hand, right? It wasn't my hand, I drop it onto the desk, and then the earth is obviously interacting as well. So that was my text box. Now I'm going to add my shapes, insert my ellipses here. Did I spell earth wrong? Why is it unhappy with me? Whatever, maybe I put a B. Oh, I did put a B there. Oops, now I look dumb. So I'm going to try to edit that back. Okay, let's make it H. There we go. Earth spelled correctly. And so now that I have my ellipses, all I need to do is insert my lines. The tennis ball obviously is interacting with the earth, being pulled down towards it, which is evident when I let go of it, right? The tennis ball is being held up by my hand before I let go of it, and then it bounces on the desk, right? So those are all the interactions with the tennis ball, but we aren't done yet. Now I need to add the things that are interacting within the system. So the hand and the earth, hand is on the earth being pulled towards it, desk is on the earth being pulled towards it. My hand and the desk, I don't think they really interact, so I'm not even going to put a connection there. And there's my system schema of my tennis ball being dropped from my hand, hitting my desk, and then bouncing. Please let me know if you guys have any questions. I hope that going through 3 examples was helpful for you guys of how to make a system schema. I will be talking more in our next class period about how these are helpful in terms of measuring out energy transformations. But for right now, you guys can just get started in finishing this activity of making system schemas. Please make sure you guys save your own copy because, again, it will be very helpful for our next class period. Please let me know if you guys have any questions. Have a good day.